will check in with you when I get home because I do need to do my TeachersConnect check-in and wrap up the blog from there. So all right, I'm on my way to work. Winter break is over. It is 2019. This is the first day back from winter break. I am on my way to pick up a Starbucks because I feel like one should have Starbucks on the day back from winter break. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rehash my winter break very briefly. I didn't vlog very much except for the video that I did with Megan, the Q&A session, which was a lot of fun. I just really am thankful for the break that I had. It was a mix of me just resting and doing absolutely nothing and really just allowing myself to do that, and then just kind of reflecting on some things that I need and want to do just to have more like mental and emotional peace in my life. And so far, I know I'm only 7 days in to the 2019 school year. I do feel a lot better. I do feel more at peace, and it's probably because I don't have a lot of work stress right now because I've been out for a couple of weeks. But I would also like to think that it's because I'm making more of a conscientious effort to do things to keep my mental state calm and relaxed. And I know everybody's coming up with these words for the year. I've never really done that, but I do know that one thing I'm going to be focusing on is just being content. And I know I posted something on Instagram from one of the daily devotionals that I bought over winter break that basically was saying to be content is a choice. It's not a feeling. Like, you have to choose to be content. And if I had to put my finger on the one thing I'm going to try to do going forward, that is it. So far so good. I just also want to say again, thank you. I know I said it on Instagram, but just thank you to everyone and their responses to the last real vlog that I did that was a little bit more personal in nature. It was just nice to know that I'm not the only one feeling the feelings that I feel, or the only one that has dealt with fibroids. And it was surprising to also know that some of you were comforted in me just kind of like sharing my frustration, where I'm at with things. So I would like to say thank you for all the positive responses. I got a lot of you also gave some advice or gave your experiences if you've had the surgery, which is called a myomectomy. I think a couple of you mentioned like just natural alternatives to prevent fibroids or shrink them down. I will be looking into those going forward, but I think right now having the ones that I have removed is the right choice for me, just because the size of them, the amount of them. So I don't know when the surgery is going to be. I don't think it's going to be anywhere in the near future. It's definitely going to happen this school year. I am just in the process of waiting to hear from my doctor. I belong to a large HMO, like I don't know. So it's just a lot of waiting for them to inform me as to when I am on the roster to have the surgery, is my understanding. And he told me it could be a few weeks before I even get told when that will be. So when I have more specifics, I'll let you guys know. So that's what kind of makes me going back to school right now a little odd, is because I don't really know how long I'll be there, like when I'll have the surgery and when I'll be out for the 6 to 8 weeks. So that's that. But I'm sad that vacation's over. But it's nice to get dressed and put myself together. There are a couple of things that I would like to try in 2019, and hopefully I can share that with you. But all in all, I'm just going to go in there. I'm going to believe for this car in front of me is speeding and running lights. I'm going to believe for and work towards having just a positive return to the classroom. And that's where I'm at. Style-wise, do you guys notice that I'm wearing some lipstick? I was just in this nesting mode the last few days of break where I just needed to organize things. I needed to make my household more efficient, more clear. There was clutter in drawers and clutter in my makeup bag and things like that. So I spent a lot of time just clearing those things out while I had the time. And in the process of cleaning out my makeup area, I just noticed I have all these lipsticks that I've probably worn one time, if that, and it was just a waste. So I am going to try and be better about using the makeup that I'm buying so that my money's not just being wasted. So this is a lipstick. I don't know the name of it. I just know it's a MAC lipstick. And my strategy is, because what stopped me from wearing lipstick is that it would just rub off when I had my coffee or whatever. So my strategy is I filled in my entire lip with the lip liner, so that should the lipstick rub off, I still have the remnants of color from the lip liner, and maybe it won't be so bad. And then packing the lip gloss that goes with it. So I hope you guys like it. I did get my hair refreshed. It's kind of the same, but not exactly the same. It has a little bit darker, or there's more black in it, and it's a little bit shorter. So that is my life update as I head to Starbucks to pick up my coffee. So I will check in with you guys later. If it's your first day back, I hope that you have a great first day back, and I will talk to you guys soon. Hey everyone, I made it. It is a 4:15-ish on the first Monday back from break. I survived it, and that was my primary goal today. It was overall positive. Nothing traumatic happened, and it went relatively quickly. I was touched. The kids seemed to genuinely miss me, and I will admit I did miss like the routine of seeing them and their personalities as well. So it is Monday, which means they were dismissed at 1:15. So that's always nice when we come back from break, is that first day kind of eases us into it, because it's just a minimum day. So we get out a little bit earlier. But tomorrow it is back to business and a full day. So it didn't take me long to realize just what teaching life is like. I had all these things planned. It didn't necessarily go according to plan, meaning that I didn't have enough time in the day. We ended up having an assembly. Sorry, I'm walking in circles because every now and then my printer decides not to print, and it's made that decision right now. So I think I was saying we had an assembly, so that I lost a little bit of time there. I basically got through grammar, a math lesson, and gave them some time to continue to work on their Trapped in the Snow Globe writing assignment. I don't know if I talked to you guys about that before break, but that was the gist of it. So I'm just trying to wrap things up for the day and make sure I'm ready for tomorrow. So I need to make copies, and then I'm going to go home because I have to cook, and I might stop at Target to get some guacamole for my chips to go with my dinner. But all in all, it was a good day. I don't have much to say. I'm just waiting for this printer to decide that it's going to start working soon, and my battery is about to die. So if it was your first day back today, I hope that you guys had a good day and that yours was positive, and I will check in with you guys more than likely tomorrow, unless I get like inspired to check in at home or share with you my Blue Apron meal. But if I don't, you'll see me tomorrow. So I will talk to you guys later. Okay, I'm back because I felt like a bad teacher vlogger, because I feel like what I offered you just a moment ago was of no value. So I ended up making the copies that I needed, not through the choice of my printer. I had to go to Peggy's room to get that done. And then I went to the office or the teacher work area to make copies. And so while I was making copies, I said, did you really share anything of any importance today? And the answer to that is no. So one thing I do want to share with you guys that I've been doing this year, and I can't remember if I mentioned this at all, but if you teach Wonders, and especially if you teach 3rd grade, anytime we launch like a new learning block, I always check Brain Pop Junior to see if there's a video that will somehow introduce an idea or a concept. So we are going to be learning about why people immigrate to different countries. I briefly talked about this during my Insta story, or during an Insta story during winter break. And so I'm going to introduce introduce it using a very short Brain Pop video that talks about Ellis Island and what Ellis Island is. And the nice thing about Brain Pop is with those videos, there's oftentimes a quiz that I will print, and I will use this as the easy listening test. So I let them take the quiz as they're watching the video just to make it easier. And I always give them the quiz that says, I don't know if it's gonna focus, but it says easy at the top. There's an easier version. Why is that not focusing? There's an easier version and then there's a harder version. So I always give them the easy one. The harder one is a little bit harder to just counterbalance the other listening tests that I give that I've created along with a friend of mine at my old school. So I give them that, and the kids love the Brain Pop videos because they're cute, they're kind of fun. So that's what I'm going to do to introduce the concept tomorrow. I was supposed to do that today, it didn't happen. And then the other thing I wanted to show you, in case you did not see it on my Insta stories during winter break, is shame on me. I bought more books, more picture books, to kind of go along with the idea of immigration. And I will share a little bit more about these as I read them. So the first book that I bought is called Teacups. This is not necessarily a book about that's just like blatantly about immigration, but it is about what looks like a boy that has left his home for some reason to go to another. I bought this one called The Journey. This one I'm sure a lot of you have seen because I've seen it a ton on Instagram, called Dreamers. And then same with this one, I've seen a whole lot, Carmela Full of Wishes. So I'm going to be reading one of these each day of the week to kind of tie in with what we're learning about. So that is what's on tap for tomorrow, is introduce the new theme for Wonders, read, I think I'm scheduled to read Dreamers first, and just talk about immigration, what it is, why do people immigrate. Oh, and there's one more I bought, I didn't show you. It's, sorry. Here we go. It's this one called Lost and Found Cat, The True Story of an Incredible Journey. And one of the things I really want to hit home with my kids, especially living in Southern California and the current political climate and what's on the news, is I really want my kids to understand that immigration is not just a Mexico and California issue, or Mexico and Texas, or Mexico and the United States, that people are immigrating from all different countries, going to other countries as well throughout the world. And the reasons behind that are different. You know, some people are immigrating to escape just war-torn countries, and I really want my kids to understand that. We will definitely talk about immigration from countries like Mexico and things like that, because that relates to some of the experiences my students may have with their family, but also just kind of broaden that idea. Because when I did this last year, a lot of kids only thought it had something to do with Mexico and California, because that's what they know. Because the bulk of the kids that have any sort of like immediate memory of or relationship with someone that's immigrated, it's a lot of the times someone that came from Mexico to California, because we're geographically close. So now I feel better. I feel more responsible as a vlogger, that I provided you with something today. But with that being said, I am going to sign off. I probably won't check in when I get home, just because I need to cook and kind of get some things done. But I will talk to you guys tomorrow.
There has to be numbers, each 100 has to be numbers between 1 and 9.
Not 1 and 9, 1 through 9. So
Yeah,
you can
1
use the
through
digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No zeros.
Wait, 300 has to be 999. 9 plus 1 is 10. That's still 331. 70. That's 900. And what? 900? Yeah, because it has to be 3. Okay. Plus 7 plus 2, 7. Let me figure this one out. 900.
It has to be 3 numbers.
I know. We're just 9 plus 1 is 10.
You have their answer covered.
I got it.
Cover your work.
Can our answers have zeros in it?
Your answer can have zeros in it, but you cannot create numbers with a 0 in it.
Can we go? Okay. That's not it. That's not it. Let me see. 200.
Hello, you guys. Sorry if the video quality is poor. I forgot to charge my camera last night and this morning, so I'm recording on my iPhone. I just finished doing some quick grading. Our progress reports are due. They go home Friday, and so there was a couple things that I tried, or not that I tried, that I wanted to get graded and added into the grade book, either A, because I needed just a couple more grades in a category to make me feel a little bit better about myself, or I was trying to help the kids out. And for some of the kids, it actually didn't help them. But I do have a couple more things to grade that might help those kids that need it the most. So fingers crossed for them. As far as the day is concerned, today I woke up and I'm not gonna lie, I felt, I missed winter break. Like, sorry, my hand was there. I missed winter break. I had to go to Orange Theory this morning, which means I woke up extra early, 4:15, and I just woke up just like sad about it. And then I just wasn't feeling super motivated. Like, I think I had some anxiety about the things that I wanted to accomplish during the day in terms of teaching, and just felt like I wasn't sure if I was going to get it done. But luckily, the day turned out much better than I thought. I got, let me check before I say this out loud. I got everything done on the agenda that I wanted to get done. So that is always a success. I want to share with you the book that I read today. I don't know. I took a picture of it because I was going to share it on Instagram. And then I changed my mind because I wanted to share this. Hold on, guys. The whole recording on your phone is very precarious because you always got to make sure that your hand is not on the lens itself. But I read the book Dreamers today and I liked it, and I actually ended up talking a little bit more with my class about this book because, again, I want them to understand that immigration involves people moving from any one country to another, but this one specifically was more focused on immigration from Mexico to the United States, specifically from Mexico to California. And the fact that it's called Dreamers that's a big term that is used a lot here because it's pretty common here to have students that are considered dreamers. So we talked about the fact that this is about immigration from Mexico to the United States, and in this case, San Francisco. And we talked about what dreamers are in today's climate and what that means. And it was nice because some of the kids can relate to it, because I have quite a few kids whose parents or not so distant relative immigrated here from Mexico. And then we also kind of opened it up to the rest of the class if they had parents or relatives that immigrated from one country to here, and if they knew why they shared that. And just, it was nice for them to see there's different reasons. Like, one of my students said her family immigrated from the Philippines purely based on like not liking the weather in the Philippines. Now, I don't know if that's totally true, but that has to be some of the reason why, because she wouldn't pull that out of thin air. So basically, this book is about a mom and her baby immigrating from Mexico to California, and just kind of the struggles in the beginning and how they felt. And then they find solace. Is it solace or solace? I think it's solace in a public library where it's quiet. They're able to read, not forced to talk. They were able to learn the language and things like that. And then what's really nice about this book is at the very end, the author, I'm switching hands to watch my finger. The author shares her story in the back, which is not exactly like the characters in the book, but similar to it. And what was nice about her story, given the fact that this book is titled Dreamers, and it's very like implied that this book was meant for actual dreamers here in California, is that her story is she immigrated to the United States strictly because she wanted to marry her child's father, and then her intention was to go back, but because she was considered, I think, a permanent resident at that point, she was unable to go back, and she became an immigrant, not by choice, but by like circumstance, by like the legality of it all. And then she kind of tied that into, you know, even though she's not quote unquote a dreamer, or her child is not a dreamer the way that it's talked about today, that all immigrants are dreamers because they're coming here or going to any other country with some kind of dream that they're trying to accomplish. So I read this and I liked it. And then the other thing I wanted to show you is this resource that I learned about through professional development. The website is called Open Middle. And I took a little bit of a clip of the kids doing this earlier today, and hopefully I can share it. But basically, it's just, for lack of a better term, they're kind of like mathematical brain teasers or extension activities. And so I tried this activity with my group, and maybe I'll flip the camera around so that my arm can kind of rest, and I don't have to worry about putting my finger in the way. So hold on one second. Okay, so on the website, there's a lot of different things you can do, a lot of different activities. It is separated by grade level and strand, so like number sense, geometry, and so on. This one is under number sense. This is a second grade task, and the person that trained me on this suggested that we start with second grade just to kind of ease the kids into it. And so in this one, you tell the kids, you draw this out on a mat that I don't have with me, but I'll show it to you. But it's basically a giant piece of paper that's separated into fourths so that each student has a workspace to kind of work through this. And you put this figure in the middle, and you tell the kids that they can only use the digits 1 through 9, and they need to create 3 numbers that when added together will get them as close to 1,000 as possible without going over. So they need to know that they can only use the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that they're creating numbers. So I had to refresh with my groups that this is a digit, this is a digit, this is a digit, but this whole thing is a number. So they understood what I meant by saying you may only use the digits 1 through 9 to create the numbers. So they get some time to work on it, and then we share out and see what numbers we get, and then we find out who got the closest, and they just kind of have bragging rights. And then, sorry, I wanted to turn the camera around. What was nice about it is that they had to work in pairs in this particular group because the group is so large, is that the pairs that didn't quite get what they were supposed to do or didn't quite get as close as we thought they could get, we offered them some advice on how they can change the numbers. And it was just really good for them to think about, okay, how do I want to manipulate the numbers? The high groups realized very quickly that you didn't want to put a large digit in the hundreds place because you're automatically going to go over 1,000. And I would probably say within a minute or two, the pairs very quickly realized that they just needed to add 333 to itself 3 times because that gets them, right at 1,000 just about. The groups that were lower in ability, first, it was just overwhelming to them that I'm telling them you're going to generate a number with 3 digits and you're just trying to add them up and get it close to 1,000 as possible. And then once they got started, they were more comfortable with it. But the lower groups always started with very high numbers in the hundreds place. So they would start with like 720 and 600 and whatever. And I would stop them and say, now you might want to think about that because your first number you're writing is already in the 700s. So you're probably going to go over. And once I said that or gave them that little tip, they kind of realize, oh, the numbers and the digits, I should say, and the hundreds place need to be smaller. So with each group, no matter how much they struggled, by the time they got it, they were really engaged and they enjoyed it. So that came from Open Middle. It's completely free. The little mat that we were given or shown when we learned about the resource, I thought I need to have one because I can get a little crazy like that. And they wanted to charge, the people that did this training for us wanted to charge $40 for that mat. Really, it's just a big piece of paper cut into fourths, like I said. So I just made one using chart paper, and I'll be sure to show you guys that tomorrow. Fingers crossed that I can remember that. But those are probably the 2 highlights of my day, is just watching the kids go through that and being just so excited about it. And then reading Dreamers. So what I did tell that high group with math, though, is that the next time we try that, I will not allow them to repeat digits in their numbers, just to kind of make it challenging. And the high kids, being the kids that they are, were really trying to finagle a way for me to break that rule. And I had to say, guys, the point of this is for it to be intellectually challenging. And if you're allowed to just repeat numbers like that, you're not really challenging yourself. And then they just kind of smiled and they were like, oh, okay. But anyway, I'm going to go home and grade these things to try and help my kids out and just relax. And then I will talk to you guys tomorrow, hopefully with a regular camera. So I'll see you then. Hello. It's 3:47. I'm leaving school. Isn't that amazing? But I'm only leaving school because I have a dentist appointment. So at this point, I'd rather be at school if it meant that I was not going to the dentist. I'm not even sure what this dentist appointment is about. I can't remember if it's a cleaning, if it's a checkup, but I guess I'll find out when I get there. Today, I just was tired. It wasn't bad. I did not get through everything I wanted to get through. We did not even touch Wonders, which is frustrating. So I'm contemplating not teaching a math lesson tomorrow to try and get caught up. But that is just always what happens with Wonders anyway, so I don't even know why I'm surprised that happened. So for the most part, we accomplish guided reading groups, grammar, math rotations, and then that was it. By the time the afternoon came, I just didn't have it in me to do Wonders. Plus, I needed them to finish this writing assignment that we did just before winter break, just for fun. I think I mentioned it, the whole trapped in the snow globe thing, because we have an aide that's coming in tomorrow, and we are going to have her, and by we, I mean Jenny and I, are going to have her assemble the little snow globes that we created. So those had to be done by the end of the day because she comes in the morning. So that was the other reason why I didn't get to Wonders, because I had devoted time to making sure that got done. But those are done. So the big debate for me right now is, I don't know if you guys can see me or not. I can't even see myself. The big debate is whether or not when I get home from the dentist, will I be cooking dinner? I'm supposed to, or I'm scheduled to, because I don't have any leftovers from my last Blue Apron meal, which was tostadas. Or am I going to order dinner and spend the evening trying to get my progress reports finalized? We have to send those home on Friday. And I always hate progress reports, report cards, because I don't want to give a student anything less than a passing grade, but there are some students that is what they've earned based on their performance and things like that. And I always have this anxiety about, I'm sure I'm going to have parents just devastated or stressed, and it's just one more thing to have to deal with. But just looking at my grades, primarily in reading and language, there are plenty of grades to make the overall grade valid, meaning that sometimes I'll have a student that has a low grade in a subject area, but they also, or I also don't have a lot of grades in that subject area, which makes every single grade extremely skewed, like not like a legitimate reflection of their performance. But that is not the case for reading and language. There are quite a few grades, enough for the grades to be legitimate. And there's some kids that don't have a passing grade because they just aren't performing well on Wonders assessments, even though they're getting additional support. We're walking through it, like all the supports I'm supposed to be giving. And in addition to that, I also send home a notification to parents, like anytime we start a new learning block, like today I sent that out. I let them know that we've started a new round, that there's a new comprehension skill, which I tell them about, and a new vocabulary skill, and then I give them some at-home suggestions that they can do with their child at home. So I feel like I'm doing everything that I can to provide practice in class with the students, as well as give parents tools to work with their child at home. I think the challenge is that there's still a good population of parents that really have not gotten to the point where they understand, at least in third grade, kids are no longer reading just for pure recall of what they read. So I have parents oftentimes say, but my child is always reading at home, and when I ask them what they read about, they know, because they think that is now how we're assessing reading. So when I explain to them, especially because, let me back up, and this is my bone to pick what they are, especially because a lot of times schools put so much emphasis on AR and making your AR goal and having these parties and celebrating that, I can see why a parent thinks that the way that we're judging a child's reading ability is whether or not they're able to read something and just purely recall what they read, like the events of the story. So that's my big bone to pick what they are. So it's hard for parents to understand when I say, no, we're no longer doing that. What we're doing is I'm teaching a skill, a comprehension skill, and I'm using different stories to teach that skill through, and I'm teaching a vocabulary skill and using those same stories to teach those vocabulary skills through. And when they take their assessment, they're given 2 totally new passages, and they have to apply what they've learned of those skills to be able to answer a good portion of those questions. So it's not something they can study for in the sense of they can read the story over and over again to remember the events, or here's a list of vocabulary words, memorize the definitions. Like, it's no longer that. And some parents are very frustrated by that. Some parents really don't understand why that is. Some parents feel like we're doing some detriment or like trying to catch the kids, but we're not. I really value the fact that that's what we're trying to teach kids, different skills to apply to their reading so that it can carry them throughout years as readers. So I don't know how I got on that tangent, but I said all that to say the kids that are not receiving passing grades right now in reading are struggling with being able to do that. And I would imagine that if the parents really took heed to the offer of suggestions and things they can do at home to heart with their child reading at home, it would help them. And, you know, and I know parents are busy, and there are some parents that think they shouldn't have to do that. But anyway, I feel like the grades are legitimate. And bottom line, when I was having this moment where I was thinking all of this through, these are progress reports, and the purpose of a progress report is to give an accurate depiction of where a student is at this moment in time, and then offer some suggestions or discuss why that may be, or what are some things that we can do to fix that. So for us, any student that has lower, or any student that has a C- or lower in any category, we fill out this attached report and give some commentary on where the child is at and why we think that may be, and what are some remedies to that situation. So I need to work on those. I think I have all the grades in that I intend to put in for right now, but I need to like comb through it and look through it one last time. And I need to get that done because progress reports go home Friday. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do when I go home. The meal that I need to cook is very quick. It's like a 15 to 25 minute meal, so I might just be a good Samaritan. No, not a good Samaritan, a good steward and cook. But I just feel tired, so that's that. Anyway, as far as the sweater, I highly recommend it. I've gotten a ton of compliments on it today, which I'm surprised by because it's just a basic sweater. And I think what it is it's the color of the sweater that a lot of people like. So this was from Ann Taylor Loft. It was on sale. I bought it over winter break, so not that long ago. So take a look, see if it's there. But aside from that, wish me luck with my dentist appointment. And more than likely, I will check in with you tomorrow. So I will see you then. Hello everyone, it is 4:30. I am still in my classroom. I meant to leave a little bit earlier, as soon as possible after school, because I need to finish up my progress reports. They're pretty much done. And as an update, I didn't do too much changing to my grade book. The grades are in there. They are as they are going to be. All I need to do now is type up the comments for those additional attachments where students have a C- or below in a subject area. It shouldn't take too long. I don't know how many students I have in that situation, but I'm gonna find out when I get home. But I wanted to pop in here really quick because I realized I hadn't turned the camera on all day, and I wanted to share with you a couple of things that I did that I really liked, and give you one tip that I don't know that I've shared, and if I have shared it, it's been a couple of years. So tip number one with pencils. I did this in 5th grade. I do it in 3rd. I have my kids in table groups, as you can see, and we do table points, and the table that has the most points at the end of the day gets 1 single starburst. That's it. And throughout the day, they get to check to see where they stand. So at recess, I'll ask who has the most table points. Those kids get to line up first. They also get one of the 2 recess balls that we have in class. And then at the end of the day, they can turn in pencils to get some more table points. They are only allowed to turn in 4 pencils at a time, because what was happening before I made that rule is kids were turning in like large amounts of pencils that I'm pretty sure their parents were buying for them as school supplies, and they were just cashing them in for table points, and it was just getting out of control. So they can turn in 4 table points, or 1 pencil per person at each group, and that is how I keep my pencils supplied. Every now and then I do let them just run out of pencils, because I want them to realize we need to keep track of these, because we can't afford to open a new pack of pencils every single day. So that's my tip if you're looking for a way to manage pencils for your students. So I collect them from them at the end of the day once table points have been accounted for, and then I sharpen them the next morning. I don't have students do it. I don't let students use my pencil sharpener because they tend to be a little too rough with it and they break it. And I also don't let them use the hand sharpener that's in my classroom because it just creates a mess. And that hand sharpener is rarely, if ever, used. So there's that. As far as what I wanted to share, I read, I didn't check in with the book I read yesterday. I read Teacups yesterday, which I'm looking for, and that is the one where it's not specifically about immigration. I'm going to show it to you here, but it is just about a little boy, and they tell you in the very beginning of the book that he had to leave his home, and we don't really know why. I'm trying to find the very beginning here. So it says, once there was a boy who had to leave his home and find another. So before I read the story to my class, I said, now this book is not, you know, obviously about immigration, but it is about a person that has to leave their home for some unknown reason and find another one. So that one was very loosely based on immigration. And I even told my kids it's kind of like an artistic interpretation of immigration if we wanted to go that far. So I read that today, or yesterday, sorry. And then today, to go along with immigration, I read this book, The Lost and Found Cat. And this is about a family that immigrates from Iraq to, first, they end up in Greece. Then I believe they end up in Norway. And I liked that one because it just touched on a different part of the world where people are choosing to immigrate. And so after the first page or so, I read to the students, I asked them where were they immigrating from, and they were able to identify that, and why were they immigrating, and they were able to identify the fact that it was a dangerous place to live. So I read that. The kids really liked it, especially the kids that like cats. It is a true story, so they also enjoyed being able to see the pictures at the end where you see the real cat and the real people that were involved with it. So, all right, I now have the science materials I want to show you guys. I'm going to put you here just so that I don't have to be holding things. So I use mystery science in class, and my district is kind of giving us some freedom to kind of teach science however we choose to, since we're in that place where we're going to be adopting new science standards and our science textbook does not really address what's coming down the way in years to come. So as a school, we have a mystery science account. I can't remember if mystery science is a free thing if you have a school account or not. I want to say that it's free, but I'm just not 100% sure. And it's nice because it just has units of study organized, and there's digital resources, worksheets that go along with the lessons. It's pretty well laid out. You literally are just clicking play and you're going through a series of slides where questions are posed, discussions are being encouraged, and video clips that kind of supplement what they're learning. So we're in the process of learning about selection, and a couple of days ago we learned about how humans have what humans do to have created certain types of selection within animals. So we talked about how dogs have been bred for certain traits. They saw how cows have kind of changed over time due to selection based on human activities, how chickens have changed over time based on selection through human activities. So today's lesson was asking them, can selection in animals occur without any sort of human involvement? So to study that, we looked at some green and brown anole lizards, I believe is what they were called. There was a little video introduction on them, and the kids learned that as a feature, these lizards have the green anoles lived on this island. It's called Lizard Island. Let me back up. And they were living there all by themselves, I think. Maybe not an island, but they were living in an area all by themselves. And within that population of lizards, they all had varying amounts of these sticky scales on their toes. And so then they were told that in 1941, I think, these brown anoles came into the picture, and the brown anoles actually eat insects, but they also eat the green anole lizards because they're smaller. And so they learned that the more of these sticky scales the green anole lizards had, the better their chances of survival. So after they learned that, each student got one of these papers, and they all looked the same, but if they realized or they looked very closely, we told them that even though at face value your paper looks the same, all of you have a different number of scales. So they were asked to number their scales, and based on the number of scales on their piece of paper, They wrote that number here, and then they found out if they had in their hand on this paper a excellent climber, a good climber, or a not so good climber. Once they figured that out, then as a class, we tallied up how many excellent climbers we had, how many good climbers we had, how many not so good climbers we had, and then we graphed all that on here. After that was done, then I grouped all the excellent climbers, lined them up, and we numbered them off, and this is done for you through the slides. And for example, students number 1, 5, and 7 in the excellent climbers group were told to give me this paper because they did not survive when the brown anoles came. So that happened with the group of excellent climbers, good climbers, and not so good climbers. Now scientifically with this activity, less excellent climber papers were taken because they survived, or they had the best chance of survival based on their number of sticky scales. A little bit more good climbers were taken, or let me rephrase that, a little bit less good climbers survived because they were not as well equipped as the excellent climbers, and then a significantly less amount of not so good climbers survived in comparison to the excellent climbers because they had less scales. So those people, or those lizards, died. Sorry about that. I had to take a break for a quick second and take care of some things. So once we worked through this worksheet here and this one here, then kids were grouped once again and they were given this paper. In each group, you had at least 4 students. Some of the groups were a little bit larger, but within each group, there were 2 students who survived the brown anoles coming. So once we reconfigured and got in those groups, as a collective, they looked at parent number 1, so the one student who had a surviving lizard, and recorded the number of scales they originally had from this paper. Then we looked at the second student who survived and recorded the number of scales they had on their paper. Then you added those numbers together and divided by 2, and that represented the number of scales their baby lizard would have. Then once they had this number where they added, divided, and got the answer there, then once again they decided, was the baby lizard considered to be an excellent climber, good climber, or not so good climber? So then we did that as a class, and when all was said and done and every group had completed that, we once again tallied. Now with this new generation of lizards, how many excellent climbers do we have, how many good climbers do we have, and how many not so good climbers do we have? And of course what happened is, with this original generation, or this parent group of green anoles, in comparison to the baby group of green anoles, there were much more excellent climbers and good climbers than there were with that original group. In our class, we did not have any not so good climbers. And prior to all this, we asked the kids to make a prediction. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think their babies are going to be like? And my class came to the conclusion, well, there's going to be a lot of excellent and good climbers and not really any not so good climbers. So their prediction was correct. And by that point, we had run out of time. And so tomorrow, what I'm planning to do is just to ask them to verbally tell me. And actually, I might not verbally ask them. I might do a quick Google Doc and ask them to explain in their own words then, how does selection happen in animals without any sort of human interaction, and kind of take that as an assessment to see, did they really get it? I'm pretty sure they all got it, but that'll be my way of making sure each individual student got it. So I hope that made sense, because I felt like it was a lot of information and I was rambling a little bit and then I got interrupted. But that was pretty much my day. I did end up cooking dinner last night, so I'm gonna head home now, walk my dogs, my dog and my mom's dog Rayleigh, and eat my leftovers and just get my comments for my progress reports done and call it a night. So that's my day. I will talk to you guys tomorrow, and so I'll see you then. Good evening. It's 6 o'clock. I'm at home. I got home at just a little bit after 4. I left pretty soon after I finished talking to you guys. Walked the dogs, talked to my sister in the process, came home, ate some yogurt, watched some TV, answered these TeachersConnect questions, and now I'm going to share the questions that I chose to answer today and the responses that I gave. And then I'm promptly getting in my pajamas, and I don't even know if I'll be awake at 8 o'clock because I'm so sleepy all of a sudden. So the first question I thought would be a fun one to answer because it was prompted by the video that Megan and I did. we recorded that last week and it went up last Sunday, where it was kind of a Q&A thing where I had some of my viewers and subscribers post some questions for Megan so I can interview her and vice versa. So this one was based on that, and it was from, I always think I'm saying this name wrong, Tastasha? Sorry if I said it wrong. I need to really commit that to memory because you are very active on TeachersConnect. And she said, after watching LaTanya's and Megan's vlog over the week, I'm curious to know how often your school allows you to wear jeans. While we are expected to dress professionally, my principal allowed us to wear jeans on Fridays. Now we have new administration in the central office and they are not fond of wearing jeans. They said that it is difficult to distinguish between teachers and students when jeans are worn. I believe they were referring to high school teachers, however. My principal voiced her opinion of how teachers do not get many incentives as is, and jeans makes her staff happy. Now instead of wearing jeans every Friday, she allows us to wear them once a month. How often do you wear jeans at school? So as a part of that video, I think one of the questions that was posed to me from some of Megan's viewers and subscribers was just kind of what was appropriate dress or my thoughts on that, and jeans came up. And so there are quite a few responses to that. And my general response to that question is, at my previous school, I always say I wasn't allowed to wear jeans, but technically I could have worn jeans any day I chose to. It just would have been frowned upon. And the reason why I say I could have is because the way our contract is written in my district just talks about teachers having to be dressed professionally. And since it's such a vague term and it's not explicitly defined in our contract, it's very subjective. So I could have worn jeans. I wouldn't have been written up. I wouldn't have been sent home or anything like that. I just would have gotten the look from the office. And there were certainly times where I wore jeans on days that weren't Fridays when I was just desperate or tired or just in a mood of just being rebellious. So that was the first thing. And the other thing I want to say to that is, because I read some of the responses and there's varying levels of like restrictiveness with jeans based on the people that responded. And my bone to pick with people saying you can't wear jeans all in the name of promoting this professional environment is I really don't think it's as simple as just telling people they can't wear jeans, and just because people are not allowed to wear jeans, everyone's gonna suddenly look super professional all the time. I just don't think that's the case. So I know, and there have been times where I'm wearing jeans and I look more put together than someone on campus that's not wearing jeans, because it's not necessarily what you're wearing or the jeans themselves, it's how you are wearing them, how clean are they, how well fitted are they to you, how are you carrying yourself in them. And even if you tell people you can't wear jeans, they can just find something else that'll look just as unprofessional as jeans do. So I think for me, that's what's frustrating. It's just the assumption that, okay, no one's wearing jeans, so everybody looks professional now, because that's really not the case, as I'm sure many of you have probably seen or witnessed in your own experience. But I do like the fact that her principal tried to stand up on behalf of her staff, because that is true. Like, that is a true statement. Like, teaching, sometimes you don't get a ton of incentives. Like, it's a stressful job. You're not paid for every minute of the day that you're working. You have to buy your own supplies, and it just gets to be challenging. And wearing jeans for some teachers is just that little extra pick-me-up during a tough day. It's the thing you look forward to. It's an incentive. So it's unfortunate that they're losing that, or losing the frequency with which they could do that. And the other thing that was interesting is some people posted on here that they had to pay to wear jeans. And I know I've seen blogs from other teachers where they mention, oh, I paid $2 so I could wear jeans tomorrow. And I just always thought, well, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, and it's an interesting concept, because the person that said they pay, I think they pay $30 a year, and that money goes towards something that benefits the school. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I can wear jeans any day now, but I don't wear them every day. It's just nice to know, or nice to have the freedom to be able to wear jeans when I choose to, so that if I am having a rough day, or if the weather is like here when it's raining outside, the last thing I want is slacks on or a dress or anything like that. It's just nice to know that I can do it when and if I choose to. So that was the first question I chose to answer. The second one I answered is from an anonymous person, and it says, I'm a first-year elementary teacher and my school district is rapidly declining in students. While I love my job, I'm worried about not being able to stay in my position. What would you do? Wait it out or maybe look for other districts for the next school year. I don't want to be uprooted in a few years without any control, especially since I'm a cheaper hire while I don't have much experience, if that makes sense. I think she means, you know, she's low on the salary scale, so she doesn't cost as much to the district as someone that's been teaching 10, 15 years and is all the way over on the salary scale. So my response to her is that just because she's saying her district, not her school, but the district has rapidly declining enrollment, my advice, I assumed it was her, that's bad of me. My advice to this person is that at the very least, you should start researching other districts in your area that you would be willing to work for or that you would like to work for. So that should something happen and you do lose your position because of declining enrollment, or you do lose your position for some other reason, you at least know what districts you're now going to be applying to. And in the process, if I were in that situation, not only would I start looking into districts that I would be willing to work for or would like to work for, I would also start making sure I'm equipped to apply. So if there are initiatives that those districts are interested in, or, you know, extra things I can add to my resume to be a more attractive candidate to those districts, I would be doing those things while still working at my other school, just as like a sense of security and just to make myself more competitive, because that you just never really know. And so one of the things that I said in my response is that there are a lot of factors in teaching that can affect your employment that you really can't control. If the numbers just aren't there, then, you know, someone's got to go. If you're low on the seniority list, that might affect your employment ability. If you get some evaluations that are not favorable to you, that could affect your employment opportunities. So I definitely would start researching at the very least. I don't know that I would apply and just jump ship and leave, because it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like he or she would like to do that, or that it's necessarily something that needs to happen right now, but just be prepared. And the other thing I wanted to note is that if you're a new teacher watching, you just got to know that your first few years of teaching a lot of times are the most unstable years, because you are newer and districts do change and districts do age. Our district is not in that position, but there are certain schools in our district where the population is aged to the point where there are no small kids that need to go to elementary school. So there are certain elementary schools where the enrollment is super low, just because it happens to be in a neighborhood where families have grown up there, their kids have gone on, but the families have stayed there. There's less turnover in those areas. So I know for me, my first few years, every year, I mean, there were years where I was pink slipped, and then there were a few years where I didn't know if I was going to be able to stay at my current site because of the enrollment numbers, and I was the last one hired on site, which meant I was going to be the first one to be let go. So you just have to keep that in mind and just kind of stay calm in the process of that, and really focus on improving your skill set as a teacher, and then just be the best that you can be, so that if you do need to transfer, you are someone that people want to hire. And just know that in the end, things always end up working out. Things always worked out for me in the end. It was stressful not knowing if I was coming or going, but it always seemed to work out in the end. So those were my 2 questions that I answered this week on Teachers Connect. If you're not a member, make sure you join. The site has grown quite a bit, and there are now people on here posting different kinds of services, seeking collaboration opportunities with teachers of the same subject matter, same grade level. So definitely check it out if you haven't. I will link Teachers Connect in the description box below. You can click on it and set up a profile for yourself. It's completely free. But I officially made it through my first week of teaching in the year 2019, my first week back from winter break. All in all, I would say it went well. I don't have any complaints, but I am nonetheless happy that it's Friday and I have a weekend to relax, and I don't really have any schoolwork that I feel like I have to do. So I hope you guys have had a great weekend, and I will be sure to see you guys in the next vlog. Bye guys. So that is it. I'm gonna wrap up the vlog. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you found something useful out of it, and at the very least, maybe you were entertained. I hope that all is well with your life, and I will be sure to see you guys in the next vlog. Until then, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.